when I look at this group of edge rushers, there's three guys that are all like really close for me. And it's Keldric Faulk from Auburn. You have Arvell Reese from Ohio State. And then you've got David Bailey from Texas Tech.
I like it. My boy Fran, he not dogging underneath that. I can already see. I ain't got to ask. My boy ain't dogging, man. My boy ain't dogging at all, man. Shout out to Fran Duffy for joining the show. Again, I just told you about his draft guide, over 170 players, man. My boy puts in the work. We're talking about Law Nation getting it out the mud. My boy Fran Duffy gets it out the mud. He gives you an in-depth look at a lot of different players, man. He's saw with his own eyes. He's talked to a bunch of people, and he's going to continue to update that thing. We're headed out to Indianapolis next week for the NFL Combine. I'm almost guaranteeing you. He's going to update that thing again after he leaves there, after he leaves the Combine. So, Fran, welcome to the show, my brother. It's always good to see you.
Jesse, great to see you. Yeah, I'm going to be updating that thing every day when I'm out there, because what I found going to the Combine is if you don't like download, and this maybe it's just me, but like if I'll sit there, I'll be in the lower bowl, be in the stands at Lucas Oil Stadium for all the workouts, right? And I watch, all the defensive linemen, all the linebackers work out Thursday night. If I don't get all my takeaways like into that guide and like on paper, onto the computer, like that night, by the time I watch the DBs on Friday, that stuff is all fleshed out. That is all gone. So yeah, you can bet that if you go Friday morning onto the draft guide, you're going to get all my takeaways from the previous night, all the guys that worked out. That'll all be there in the draft guide.
All right, Fran. So looking at your draft guide, man, and one of the things that is probably going to shock some people, probably going to get some pushback for some folks. Some people might say, oh, he bugging, he wilding, he's trying to be a contrarian. But I know you don't give a damn because you're true to what you do and you do the work. But you have Keldric Faulk as your number one edge rusher coming out of the draft this year. How did Fran Duffy get to that point where you have Faulk as the number one edge rusher?
Yeah, break that down.
Yeah, I think to me, when I look at this group of edge rushers, there's three guys that are all like really close for me. And it's Keldric Faulk from Auburn. You have Arvell Reese from Ohio State. And then you've got David Bailey from Texas Tech. To me, there are questions with all three profiles, right? We know the deal with Arvell Reese. He's a linebacker. If you're projecting him that high, it's going to be as an edge rusher. So there's going to be a position switch there. It's something that he has not done in terms of like pinning your ears back and just rush against the tackle. That is way down the list in terms of what he was asked to do in that Ohio State defense. So it's a very big projection there. Then you get to David Bailey. I do have concerns about whether or not he can develop into a 3-down player at the position, and you're not going to get paid the big bucks if you're not a 3-down guy. I do think that it's in the realm of possibility that he becomes a designated pass rusher type in the league. Yeah. Then you get to Keldric Faulk. And when you're looking at Keldric Faulk, to me, he's got all the traits. He's big, he's long, he's athletic, he's versatile. There have been times over the last calendar year, because I first studied him back last May after the draft, and I was like, I actually kind of like him, the idea of him transitioning as a defensive tackle. He's got a very versatile skill set. The big thing is that the sack production wasn't there this past year, but he doesn't turn 21 until the fall. He's outstanding character, the 2-year captain as a young kid on that team in the SEC. You talk to anybody on that team, you talk to any of those coaches, you talk to anybody else in the SEC in the conference, who's one of the toughest guys to block, they will all point to Keldric Faulk. So I know the production wasn't always there, but when I watch the film, this guy is extremely disruptive. He's got all the traits. I do think, you might have to be a little bit patient. Let him continue to fill out. Let him continue to develop. But I feel good that he's going to get there. Whereas the other guys, I do think it's a question about if they will get there. I don't think it's a matter of if with Keldric Faulk. I think it's a matter of when with Keldric Faulk.
Hey, man, we talk about Faulk, and you said be patient, let him develop, let him fill out. But you're also talking about somebody you pick in the top 10. How much patience we got for top 10 guys? And when you look at Faulk, a lot of people will say Mykel Williams, who didn't have a lot of production.
Yep.
But he was drafted high still by Cincinnati. Is that a fair comparison? And what is the future for Mykel Williams?
Yeah, so Mykel Williams, he was the one who went to San Francisco. Shamar Stewart was the other one.
I'm sorry.
He didn't produce. No, because it's right. It was a similar questions though with both guys. I think it's important to bring both up from last year. Mykel Williams also didn't produce to me, and I was really high on Mykel Williams still. And he was having a good year for San Francisco until he tore his ACL. So I think when you're looking at Williams, I think it is comparable to that situation where he was used a lot of times, because that's the thing is a lot of people want to point to like pass rush win rate and things like that. There is context that's required with those. And oftentimes when you looked at Mykel Williams and certainly when you look at Keldric Faulk, they were rushing from like a 4-eye technique where they're a little bit snugger. It's not like they had like a clear runway lining up as a wide 9 technique or as a 7. They could just pin their ears back and go. I think when you look at Faulk's usage, it was varied enough in that scheme that's going to affect some of those efficiency numbers. When you look at Shamar Stewart, go ahead, Clarence.
No, go talk about Shamar Stewart.
Yeah, so to me, like with Shamar Stewart, I was not buying it. To me, I saw a guy that was just not disruptive at all, was not creating action for others. And that's when I look at Faulk, this is a guy that's always around the football. Yeah, like the sacks weren't always there, but we know how the sacks can be a fickle thing, right? And so to me, I was not high on Shamar Stewart at all. I was way lower on him than consensus. I thought that he was overdrafted, did not have a great year. To me, I feel good about my eval on Shamar Stewart at this point. I feel like Keldric Faulk's got that ability to really step into it. And to the first part of your question, are you going to buy that into the top 10? That's the nature of this class. Like this class, we are starving for true like blue chip players at premium positions. And Keldric Faulk, I think, has that ability to get there.
You brought up 4-eye technique, something that, Shadi was, when we did an interview with CP, and I know you CP, from
Christian Parker.
From Philadelphia. He said Jerry was all in the 4-eye technique. Explain the 4-eye technique.
Right.
Yeah, so a 4-eye technique is when you are lined up on the inside shade of the offensive tackle. And you often will see that. You're going to see that with a lot of odd front teams. So teams that play with like a 3-4, 5-2, however you want to kind of, put whatever label you want to put on that. But typically what you're going to see with that is that, again, you are working much more in a phone booth. You might have different responsibilities in terms of it's not just like shoot one gap and go. Like this isn't like Rod Marinelli where we're trying to penetrate and get into the backfield right away. Oftentimes when you utilize guys from that technique, from that front, it's often going to be on early downs, and it's going to be, hey, like you are going to be responsible. Maybe it's B gap and C gap. So inside the tackle and outside the tackle, you might have 2 gap responsibility in those kinds of situations. And so you're just dealing with a much more confined space. Your responsibilities might change out of that scheme.
Yeah. And Fran, when you're looking at this particular team, the Cowboys, especially with Christian Parker, his first year here, he's going to need somebody with impact, burst, get up field, because he's going to be playing so many multiple fronts. I looked at Dan Bailey as a guy that kind of similar with frame and everything as a Donovan, as a Raku. Yeah, that's a smaller size. But now if you're talking about the guy, Keldric Faulk, that's a little bit bigger, do you think that he will fit well with the things that Christian Parker is looking for?
Yeah, to me, if we think that Christian Parker is going to try and mirror a lot of the things that he got from Vic Fangio, you're going to play with a lot of light boxes. And when you play with light boxes, you need your guys. It's not just, can you win your one-on-one in the run game? You got to you win your one-on-one plus, right? So to me, like that's why, the Eagles, they go out and they sign Bryce Huff in free agency in 2024 going into the Super Bowl year. And Bryce Huff could not get on the field, despite the fact that he's like this sack artist, designated pass rusher, like he can get after the quarterback. If you can't hold up in the run game, it's tough to play in a scheme like that because you need to be able to more than hold your own in the run game. When I look at Keldric Faulk, he's a 280-pound defensive end who's going to hold his own and then also push the pocket, disrupt against the quarterback. And so I do think that Faulk would be a better fit. And honestly, when I look at who are some of the guys that could be in that range, I think that he would make some sense there if they decide that they want to add to that defensive front.
Yeah, slip of the tongue, David Bailey, my bad.
Yeah, Dan Bailey was the kicker.
Yeah, Dan Bailey was the kicker.
Yeah, absolutely. Fran,
yeah.
One of the things talking about Christian Parker and how he wants to play this defense outside of, his secondary love, and that's where he kind of, got his stripes at in the secondary, outside of Caleb Downs. Give me one of your other top safeties in this draft that you can say, you know what, this might be a guy that might fit in that Christian Parker scheme.
Yeah, to me, I look at my number 2 safety will be Emmanuel McNeil-Warren out of Toledo. This is a guy that's a high impact player. Christian Parker's had some experience working with some Toledo Rockets. Not that it's going to be apples to apples in terms of obviously the role and the position is going to change, but McNeil-Warren has been really productive, and he could do a little bit of everything on the back end. He is not the, in terms of like the big nickel, Nicky Manwari, match up in the slot and do those kinds of things. He is a big body, but I like him more playing from depth, coming downhill, and just wreaking havoc as a run defender, as a pass defender, playing sideline to sideline. He's got great range. He can finish on the ball. He plays with violence. The instincts I thought got a lot better from last year to this year. I'm really excited about Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, but honestly, there are a few safeties in this class that I do think would fit well. You get into like day 2, I think AJ Halsey from LSU is a guy that can play on the back end, be really instinctive. He's a really good zone coverage defender, and he's been really productive every step along the way. He's played at 3 different schools in 4 years, and he's been extremely productive on the back end. And then Dylan Thieneman is a name that we'll be talking about plenty, guys, because this is another guy, third-year player, a 3-year junior, started at Purdue the first 2 years, was really productive as a back-end safety, and then was kind of like a hybrid safety nickel this past year for the Ducks. I don't know if he's going to truly be like a nickel in the league. I don't think that he's quite Cooper DeJean, but I think that some people will be quick to make that comparison. Regardless, he's an instinctive player. I do think he's more of a back end type as opposed to a true nickel like what we've seen from DeJean. But Thieneman is another guy that I think would make sense at safety.
All right, Fran, let's have a little fun with you, man. All right, you ready for this right here?
Yeah,
we got the board right here. We got a bunch of names, draft picks on this particular board right here. And here are your options. All right.
Okay.
The options are 12, 20, pass. Okay? So we're going to spin the wheel, and the name that comes up, you have to decide, do the Cowboys take this name at 12, 20, or pass? 3 times. Now you got to be good with this because you don't want to pass on the guy, and you spin the wheel again, and now you're like, I got to take this guy.
Yep.
All right, so you got it? All right, here we go. Spin that wheel, Law.
4, 3, 2. Let's get it.
All right, Fran. So at 12, 20, or pass, Mansour Delane.
To me, I'd feel more comfortable, and I do like Mansour Delane. I'd feel more comfortable with him at 20 than I would at 12. But I know a lot of people are talking about him top 10. But I do think it's the nature of this class that he's going to get bumped. I'm interested to see how he tests next week. I'll feel a little bit better about this after seeing him live for the first time because I like the player. I do worry about like the overall athletic profile. I feel better about him at 20, but there's
okay. All right, you got him at 20. Here we go. So you got 12 and pass left right here. Spin that wheel, Law.
Yeah. Boy,
let's push it over one more. Caden Proctor right there. 12 or pass.
Roll Tide
for the Cowboys right now.
Yeah, I think I'm going to pass just because of what we know, what we've got here in Dallas from an offensive line standpoint. Let's pass on Proctor, and I'll keep my fingers crossed here for the right.
All right,
real quickly.
We don't have real quickly. We're on the time. We're on the time. Spin the wheel, Law. Spin the wheel, Law. Spin the wheel, Law.
You got a question.
Ooh,
Brandon Cisse.
All right, so we're double dipping in
number
corner.
12.
Yeah. So obviously, going back, I would like to take Mansour Delane at 12. Cisse. I have a higher grade on Proctor than I do on Cisse. But Cisse is probably like a top 35, top 40 type of selection. I don't know that he's a great fit in this defensive scheme, but he's got ability for sure.
Hey, one time before, I believe Christian Parker was on a team that drafted 2 DBs in the first round.
That's in the top 40. Yeah, they took Cooper DeJean at the top of the second round. It's a defense that is very much focused on being built from back to front. So you could definitely see it.
All right, Fran, man. Appreciate you, brother, man. We will see you in Indianapolis next week as we head out there for the NFL Combine. Thank you so much, brother. And remember, go see the draft guide, alldlls.com/draft guide. Go see our boy Fran Duffy out there. Thanks, Fran.
Appreciate it, guys. Talk soon.
All right, coming up next, we'll go around the NFL and we'll have a mock draft. We'll look at some of the mock draft that people have out.